That's
Big up, big up, big up.
Mhm.
And welcome to the Liberal 12th Man Show. We are joined today by the Irishman, joined by also Scouse Lee, and we are joined by JK as well. So let's go through the order here. JK, how you doing today?
all good, bro. All good. Hope everyone's cool.
Cool, cool. And Lee, how are you doing?
Absolutely awful. I've considered suicide 3 times already today. I just didn't go through with it.
Okay.
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
Okay. All right. Um, Irishman, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm great. I am. Yeah, I'm great. I have not had any of those. So yeah, we're good. We're good to go.
Good. Don't listen to the voices in your head, people. Please don't listen to the voices in your head.
Only the good ones that make you laugh.
Yeah, that's right. Or the ones that make you tune into the channel. Just listen to those. Um, man, today's been a pretty interesting one. I had an early morning, so and then I had a little bit of a nap in between. But I also was fortunate to catch a couple of people's streams earlier. I caught Lawrence McKenna's stream earlier today, which was kind of cool because he was doing a live stream, which is something I haven't seen him do really, where he's like engaging with the people. He did like 2 live streams back to back. One was interesting. It was like he did one where he did one on his LFC channel, and then he did another where it was on his like general channel, and on the general channel he was building a Lego. He's building like one of those like Lego things,
I look like
I don't know. That was weird. Yeah, he did Legos. He actually did Legos. He was like on there and he did like
I was a sickly
he was
child.
building like a Lego. He was building a
Like,
car.
yeah, I used to spend a
Yeah,
lot
like
of time.
I think it was like a James Bond.
Legos.
I think it was like the James Bond Aston Martin. It was something like that. He was building like the James Bond
yeah.
Aston Martin car,
That was good.
and like yeah. It made me think of like, yeah, that's cool. Like I have I still have to build. I'm not in. I don't build Lego stuff, but I mean, like I have one because like I was gonna build one with my little nephew, and I bought the Anfield. I bought like Anfield, the stadium.
Okay,
So
yeah. Brilliant.
I've been trying. I've like been thinking about whether to like when to put that together. But
Rob
yeah,
Lawrence's
it's
idea and do it on a live stream.
what's that?
Rob Lawrence's idea and do it on a live stream.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was interesting. But you know what's cool about it is I got to ask him. I was asking questions, and he was answering my question. He answered like all my questions, pretty much. Like he was bringing up all my. He's like, it was almost like having a conversation with them. It was pretty cool. Because he's a person that's he's pretty well in the know. So like ask him a couple different little questions here and there. It was kind of interesting to see his insights on it. Big up to Bernie, by the way. Big up to Daryl. Big up to Redbird in the house. Big up to Trap Joe in the house for sure. Big up to you guys all getting your notification bells on and definitely showing what's up by showing out. When's the next quiz? That's a good question, Brian. That's a good question. When is the next quiz?
At least at least a
Anytime you
week. If I started tomorrow, it'd take me a week. It wouldn't. It'd take me a day. But if I started tomorrow, it'd probably be a week before I had one doing it at my normal pace. So yeah, if you want, I can start another one. Start one tomorrow, or yeah, if you want, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll get it together. It's like anything, you just once you start, it's fine, but you just have to get yourself to start to do it, and then it's grand. But it's like doing homework or something. So yeah, Dara, if you want one, I'll get working on one.
We were
The
going
last one
to
was good. Yeah.
oh,
The last
Bernie,
one was
that's
tough.
not
Cool.
that's not good. That sucks that it didn't work. But I'm glad to. I know that we all are we're telepathically linked. That is certainly true. That's the way that I believe all Reds should be. Me and JK about that for quite some time backstage. But the notification bell didn't happen. That's weird, man. That's really, really weird. Especially since I put this notification. I put this show has been up since yesterday. So that's weird that I'm gonna have to ask YouTube what they're doing to us. They want us to succeed, or are they just trying to hamper our success?
Well, Redman TV did a stream earlier, the first one I've seen in weeks, and what the first thing it did was unsubscribe and then subscribe again, because we were talking about that, to refresh it from last season, because they want to be getting me. I did get me. It was there, like, you know what I mean, in me things, it popped up, but I just made sure I just unsubscribed and subscribed again to make sure. It's all you can do, isn't it? That's what we were talking about, wasn't it, the other day?
Yeah, it's all you can do. That's what we do.
Yeah. But also today we're gonna talk about some things where Monday Nightclub. So it's it's just fun in the club with your mates. So we'll take it. And we'll take questions from the chat. Obviously, we'll engage in your chat and your comments, but also we'll talk about some of the topics that are the trot topics right now. I was going to start off by just saying, before I get into some of the actual players that I wanted to bring up, I was going to ask this simple question: does Liverpool need a destroyer? Yes or no? Does Liverpool need a destroyer? Because right now there's a lot of talk about how Endo isn't necessarily in favor with the coach. I've never seen that, but I mean, like, a lot of people are trying to bring that point up. Or not a lot, but some people are. And also the sheer fact that, like, we've seen this team now with 3 games in preseason, and we've seen them all be with the pivot. And again, I'm not saying we don't need a 6, but I'm saying, do we need a destroyer? That's what I'm asking. Like, do we need an outright destroyer on this team? Or are we able to get by with possibly, two hybrid 8s working as a 6 in the pivot, in essence? Jake, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Lee, and then we'll go to Irishman. So, JK, what are your thoughts?
I never really mentioned any faults that Klopp might have had in his time with us, but I just feel sometimes he played people in the wrong positions. So for me, I want a destroyer who's born as a destroyer, but not made into a destroyer, because he fits in there for that game or whatever. So for me, I think nearly every club needs a destroyer, Like, you're going to get, like, 2 plumbers to do an electrician's job if you're going to get 2 hybrid 8s to play the number 6 roles, So for me, I think we need a destroyer. Ever since Fabinho sort of left, we haven't really had one. Endo, for me, did a top job. For me, not bad. Come on. For me, there's no need to show him any disrespect. He did a top job. And but I just feel every squad and team is better with a destroyer in there.
Okay. Yep. How about for you, Lee? I have a follow-up for you, JK, but I'm gonna go through the horn first, and then I'll fall back. Go ahead, Lee.
For me, there's definitely still a place for Enzo, because the fee he'd leave for would be small, so there's still room for him for me. But we just don't know what Slot's thoughts are now. But the initial thoughts of the fan base is that Slot isn't that keen, just from, like, what other people are saying about how it's gone so far. But we won't know, really, will we, until Ipswich, if he's going to start the game or not. For me, though, I want to keep him. I think there's a place for him, definitely.
Okay. And it's not just about Endo, too, by the way, Lee. I'm just saying, do you think we even need a destroyer?
It depends. If we're going to have a double pivot, then maybe not. Maybe you don't need a Fabinho or an Endo or whatever, and you can just have 2 players holding it. two different players, like, but that match each other in that engine room sort of way. So we'll see we'll see what happens. But no, I don't think we necessarily do. If style of play is going to be a bit different, then maybe we don't need a destroyer. Man City haven't got one, have they?
Irishman? Yeah. Oh, that's one of the key reasons why I was asking.
Man City, though, because that's what we friggin' did last season with the inverted. I don't want to copy Man City because they don't play with like a fucking destroyer.
Yeah. Well, big up Ants, by the way. Ants, Leicester fan channel, by the way.
Yeah, Redbird, will you put a link for Ant's thing in the chat if you're still there?
Please do.
Do we need a number 6? Do we need a destroyer? We need JK is spot on in the having that kind of guy is pretty essential in most teams. I think Manchester City do play with a destroyer. They play with Rodri, who's a very, very high level destroyer. He does that job. He can do it. He can do everything basically. That's why he gets all the plaudits. Do we need a player that comes in that does just that role in this system? I don't think we do in this one. I think, and just to disagree with Daryl, nothing but love as usual, Daryl, but you're saying we need the next Mascherano. The comparison I use is that Slot wants a DM. He doesn't want a Mascherano. He wants an Alonso. That's the way I look at it. I think the 6 that he wants is not that Mascherano type. It would be the Alonso type. It would be the deep line playmaker type. So I don't think he's going to want to play with someone whose major skill set is the destroyer thing, as you put it. I agree with JK that I'm very happy. I'm always comfortable knowing there's a guy like that in the squad. I'm happier knowing that. So to me, we just keep Endo. But I don't think Slot is out there looking for a destroyer. I think I don't know, man. I think Holden, Bajcetic and Endo could be the way to go until they see what's there and what they need. But yeah, I don't think to answer your question, I'd say no. Liverpool FC. To answer your direct question on a destroyer would be no.
Okay. I guess as like an easy transition to why I asked that. Why I asked that question, and that's because realistically, I know that we've had a little bit of a taste of what we're going to probably see with this team. I know that we haven't seen the final article, most likely because we haven't gotten all of these starting players, the senior players that we know will most likely start for this team in one way or another, whichever, some might be playing in different positions, but whether we need a 6. I spoke about how I was on the Lawrence McKenna's show earlier, and he was doing something like a transfer dive or transfer roundup or something like that, and he was trying to figure out what player, and he was taking suggestions from the chat, and everyone in the chat pretty much was like trying to get about 6, a 6, all these different ideas and concepts, and I'm like, or suggestions, I should say, of a 6, and I'm like, do we really need a 6 on? Are we really hell bent on getting a 6 anymore?
You keep dropping out, man.
Oh, I'm okay.
You're dropping out twice in the last minute. I missed most of what you said. You and Leo and Lee are dropping out.
Okay. I was saying that the 6 is something that is the 6 something that we really need, basically. That's what I was trying to get at. And I think that what was very interesting about the approach of the chat, at least earlier when I was a part of it, everyone was just giving the one position they wanted to see was either the 6 and loosely speaking on maybe a center back. And if you could find a center back that could play the 6, even better. you know. I'm just asking, like, if we really do need a 6, or if what we have is what we need. Could it be that we could, are you against seeing Maka play the 6 again this year, or does he have to play one of those offensive minded midfielders for us, or can he play that 6 or that pivot role with the?
But that's the thing. It's the pivot job, like Lee was saying, isn't it? Like if it's 2, it's a really different question. If it's 1, if you're talking about 1 player, DM, or you're talking about 2 in a double pivot, it changes the whole conversation, doesn't it? It changes the whole profile of a player that you're looking at. Because if you're talking about a 6 in a 4-3-3, that's your Fabinho, Caicedo, destroyer guy. But in a double pivot, I think we can get away with it for a little while until he sees. I just think if Bajcetic was a couple of years older, it's a really hard call to make, because the guy that we need, I think, is going to be really, really expensive. I think that's the issue.
And who is that in your mind?
Oh, that's the thing, man. You're going out there, you're going to talk about a press. Like I heard someone describe it the other day, and I believe, is it Barnes that's in the chat, was saying he wants a press resistant DM that can make from deep. I mean, every letter of that, that's another 5 million. A press resistant midfielder capable of playing for the highest level, that can pass and can do all those things. You're going to get him for 20 million? No. That's already an 80 million pound Zubamendi type guy, or whatever, whoever it is. So or like someone will come back with, you can be clever in the mark, but but if you want to bring the real deal, someone that can do it. It's a big investment that they're going to make. So I imagine they're probably looking at it, like they're going to spend a bit of time looking at this, who to bring in. But it's very complicated, because that's obviously so important, a position. You're asking about the guy who takes the ball off the back 4 and starts stuff off. Like that's the heartbeat of your team. Got to get that right.
Right. That's the question, Alexander, too. It's like, do we need a lone 6 or a pivot guy, basically? And that's a big question. Trap Joe says slot system rotates the players constantly, so our midfield and our fullbacks can do the job. Yep, I've noticed that as well. And also, we haven't seen what this team is going to be like when, or how we're going to construct that midfield when we do get Maka back, when we do get some of these other components back to our team that are obviously components that we're going to certainly utilize. And how do we do that? I want to do an episode, by the way, where we try to figure out what's going to be our starting 11. What is going to be our starting 11, and how and construct it the way somewhat of what we've seen this formation be, which is, I get that we've already had this how we've alluded to as being a 4-3-3, or at least that's what he said in the Arnie Slot said in the press conference, that he plays a 4-3-3. But what we see on the pitch is certainly not a 4-3-3. At times, it's more like a 4. Sometimes it's a 4-2-4. Sometimes it's a 4. Sometimes it's a 4-2-3-1. So like, how exactly we're going to see what we're going to see is probably neither here nor there. But I would like to see where and who really gets into the starting lineup, so that we can see what Alexander was just saying is like, are we going to have a pivot system, or are we going to do like this lone 6 system, or are we going to do something of like the at one point against the Real Betis, for instance, we were playing with 2 10s, really, and yes, you're right, Barnes. He was saying sometimes you play like a 3-4-3. There's a lot of different variations of this, like this formation that we're going to absolutely realize, and what players do we have are transferable enough to be able to play the roles that they're going to be asked to play? That's the biggest question. That's the very big question. And I guess it leads into what I was saying earlier, which is that let me make sure I get the presentation up here. Which is why I like, I brought up the Gravenberch thing before, and now like all of a sudden I'm starting to hear a lot more people warm to that idea, which is very interesting. But Gravenberch, Curtis Jones, who would you want to see in that pivot role if we're going to play that pivot? Who constructs the pivot for us if we are going to have that pivot? I'll ask that.
Gravenberch is the obvious.
Oh, yeah, that's
sorry.
an obvious.
Yeah,
I'll
Gravenberch. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Look at the guy. Like that's his. I mean, I've been saying that from day one. It's like, where's he going to play him? Because no one's talking about him. Everyone's talking about Jones. Like everyone's kind of forgotten about Gravenberch. This guy. Everybody loves to. I don't put anything on Dutch coach, Dutch player, Dutch grandfather, Dutch mother. It's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. Oh, this Dutch player. Oh, well, it's a Dutch coach coming in. We had a Dutch head coach basically last year at Pep Linders. So I just see that, but he's someone who's brought up in the Dutch system that might be able to play in a way. So I would assume that he was someone who has the skill set to play definitely in the pivot as a second, not the defensive player in it.
That's a lone six. I'm not.
No, but I mean in the pivot. No, but when I say pivot, I mean in the two. Pivot is two. So when I say as the second in the pivot, I mean as not the main, not the guy who holds. If there is a guy who holds.
Well, who plays alongside him?
Maka did it for. Maka did that role for Argentina in the World Cup, and they won the World Cup. He played a similar enough deep role. If you're going to ask me to build a pivot, say you want me to line up in a 4-2-3-1, in a very orthodox 4-2-3-1, and my double pivot in our team right now. Yeah, I don't think I'd go with Endo. I think I'd go with Gravenberch and McAllister. I think, and then I'd have Dom in a 10. That would be my 3. Okay. But I mean, everyone's going to throw names now. Jones in the 10, Jones in the 8. Yeah, that double pivot is really interesting. It gives you a lot of options. But like everyone was just saying, we'll be building up in different ways. But 11 will start on the pitch. I'm really interested to see what he does at Gravenberch because I think he has multi skill sets. But I was worried because I thought there was 2 players in the squad that were out and out Klopp signings, like ultimate, almost 100% his name all over him. Obviously Endo and the boy there on the screen himself, Ryan Gravenberch. Someone he chased for a long time. So I thought, sometimes when a guy is that much of a player for a manager, the next guy that comes in doesn't see or doesn't need the same things. But if you're talking about a double pivot and we're talking about midfielders, why aren't we talking about Gravenberch? He's right up there. Paid nearly 50 million quid for him. He's no joke.
Okay. Lee, who makes up your who do you play in the pivot? Who starts in the pivot for you? If we do go down the lines of getting a pivot,
possibly Bajcetic and Gravenberch or Bajcetic and Maka.
Yeah, I mean, well, it doesn't. We didn't even.
I think he's ready.
Yeah, Bajcetic. So do you start Bajcetic and Gravenberch together?
Yeah, Bajcetic a better ball winner, and he's a good ball winner. Bajcetic, it's a thing he can do. So in pairs with Gravenberch in a double pivot would be nice. We know what Gravenberch is good at. And
I mean, you can move Maka up. Then you can move him up into.
Yeah, Maka could play in the 10, couldn't he? Ahead of them, or be back in place of one of them with Soboslai or Elliott ahead of them. Could go a few different ways, couldn't it? We've got good options.
But that's the. And I'll allow for JK before I even go into that question. Actually, finish your thoughts. Yeah, and I'll let JK also go.
Okay. I'll probably go with Endo McAllister for me.
Oh wow, yeah, because you did just make a statement for Destroyer, so
yeah. So for me, Endo is the closest we've got to that, and until Bajcetic has enough game time, and because for me, he's the future of maybe that position. I'd start with Endo and McAllister if they're going to play that double pivot.
Do you think Slot will want to see more of Bajcetic in training before he gives him a start? Like, do you think he won't start the season? Like, there's no chance of that.
I don't think he'll start the season, Lee. A little bit too early. But saying that, Endo hasn't really had.
Long
Endo
time
hasn't
out,
really started, has he?
Long time out for the kid.
Yeah.
To just come back in and be thrown straight in at the deep end in the Premier League. So it might take a month or so before we see him employed in the starting position. Like in the first game.
Because he didn't start the United game, the Arsenal game. So maybe he's just sort of starting his sort of Liverpool career now, you know. Hopefully, touch wood, he keeps fit. But like I remember Brian was saying yesterday, like Bajcetic is big time, you know. And I'm not a big fan of saying potential-wise how good someone's going to be, because sometimes it don't work out like that. But for me, Bajcetic is one of the he's good.
I think
he's real good.
Bajcetic and McAllister would be a nice double pivot. I think them two would complement each other well.
Very nice.
Skill sets both have got. We'd be able to control games, I think, with them two. Like,
but you know what though? Like we're talking about them two positions. Like who's going to play in front of them? That's like even a bigger question.
Well, that's the next question. Yeah, definitely certain. So is that like I'm asking the chat right now. Big up to Marion, by the way. Hello and welcome, and big up to Ian as well and Bonkers.
Yeah,
big up to all you guys Bonkers out there. Definitely.
Yes. Mark Simmons was in earlier on. I forgot to shout out Mark.
Yeah. Oh, easy, Mark.
Please, I'm asking you guys in the chat, please do tell us, what is your starting midfield? And using a pivot, obviously, what becomes your starting midfield? Big up Baz, by the way. Big up Baz. I see you.
Big up Baz.
I'm ready for this one, I know. You know, yeah, what is your starting midfield? If we're going to do
it, would pivot, be.
You know, what is your starting midfield? And that includes, obviously, midfield, meaning you could say Salah, obviously, or you could say, you know, Diaz or Cody or whoever, being that it'll be a 4-2-3-1. So we're asking for the 2 and the 3, not the striker, just asking for the 3 and the 2 and the 3.
It would be really interesting if he had that bravery and to start the kid. It would be good but it's just knowing, is he ready? When is he ready? JK is right. Maybe another month looking at him in training. But he's someone who I think if he got into that team, I think he could stay in it. I think he could. I think he's good enough at the moment to actually stay in it if he got in it. But he's got to get in it. That's the first step. Got to get in it.
Okay. Yeah, because like I know some of us might have like flashback memories of this, not necessarily this midfield, but like this kind of grouping of players that we could utilize by having like a outright striker and having, you know, just some really, like you're talking about the Lonzos and like as I'm talking about, you know, the roles that Gerard played and the likes. This is certainly something of what I would love to, like as in we're on the verge of seeing something very different with this club, with the way that this tactician in Arne Slot is going to utilize these players in, I think, ways that we really haven't seen these players been used before necessarily with Klopp, you know. And I've heard a lot of different people just go back and forth about like, you know, that, oh, we wasted time trying to utilize the inverted role and the likes, but I'm very interested to see. So let me see if you guys can though. If you guys do though, please do tell me what your midfield is, and we're gonna we would love to discuss it or at least see how your brain is thinking about what we would actually be bringing up as well. So okay, and Ian just brought his ideas on it, and so did Laura. Okay. Ian says he would put McAllister and Dom. There's been some talks about Dom possibly playing in that 6 role.
Oh no.
I don't want to see Dom in that pivot, really. But
no.
But possibly because, you know, he's already played that Hendo role of like, you know, being the last line to help out the back line. I don't know. It makes you go where, because you said it earlier, Brian. Where does Dom? I want to see Dom play. I want to see McAllister play. I'd love to see Curtis play. But I'd like to see Elliott play. But now we're already past that number of like available spots on the pitch for a lot of these players to play. If you're not talking about just the pivot, just talking about the advanced three, like you're already past that number of open positions. We're still gonna have to have Salah play, So even though I said 4-2-3-1, that 3 is going to obviously have Salah. Most likely, it's going to have either Diaz or Cody, or on the left, So I mean, like, there's only three positions, Even though we're saying a 4-2-3-1, it's still a virtual 4-3-3 in essence, because you still have 3 advanced forwards and you have and you're going to have 3 midfielders. So like, who and where do these players fit in?
Yeah, very little. There's 11 spaces, and I think would we all be right in saying that we're probably going to start Alonso. McAllister.
I know the picture's got you thinking Alonso.
Yeah. McAllister and Szoboszlai, I'd imagine, are probably going to start most games for us. So that only leaves one position then.
Yeah.
Of that, the 2 and the 1, the 2 and the pivot and the 10.
Yeah.
So 2 of them, you'd imagine. So that only leaves one space there. I mean, right wing is sewn up. You'd imagine centre forward is sewn up.
Mm-hmm.
So Jones, unless we're going to do what Guardiola in Spain did and play number 10s in every position, But again, I mean, like, how do Jones, Bajcetic, Elliott, Gravenberch, Endo? How do they get into that team when, as we just said, there's really only one spot left?
It's really different. Look, there could be a shout. I mean, like, I just showed Hyler's selection. He's saying Curtis Jones and McAllister as the pivot for him. Trap Joe is saying Gravenberch, Maka, and Fab. Like, there could be a concerted shout for Fab. Fab's played fantastic so far in this, and I mean fantastic so far in this.
Who?
Fabio Carvalho.
Oh, Fab. I was like Fabinho on the bro. Fabinho.
No, yeah.
Fab.
Yeah.
Is he's going to Leicester, I think. I think we sold him. Did we not sell him to Leicester? Did someone say that? Ant said earlier on that Carvalho was going to Leicester.
Oh, well, maybe that's high hopes of him going to Leicester.
Maybe he lost his dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right.
Because I did not. I mean, like, I did not hear of any breaking news about Carvalho going to Leicester. I'll double check though. And if you're still in the chat, definitely give us an update or give us your insight on that. Your inside knowledge.
Oh, he was just on a wind-up. Sorry, yeah. All right, he was probably just on a wind-up. Sorry, I just read the comment quickly. I just said, he's Fabinho is off to join Steve Cooper. Something like that. Okay, cool. Right,
yeah. I was gonna say, he's had actually one out of all the players on this team. I think Fab has had one of the best, summers out of all of them. I think Fabio's looks been really, really well and playing in a position that he said that he doesn't necessarily want to play, which is, on a left wing position, but when he gravitates, a little bit further in and takes over that 10 role, we see where Fabio could be really, really dangerous. And it's one of those things where I now don't want to lose him I'm definitely not losing him for 15 million or what, 15, 20 million, maybe, I think he's a promising young talent. Bonkers. I know. Sorry, Lee, if that bored you there, but Bonkers. Szoboszlai. I know. I'm playing with you. Szoboszlai, Mac, and Elliott are, again, there's so many different variations to this midfield. Let's see who else put in one.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Daryl trying to be Daryl being Daryl, trying to like shake things up. He's He's doing this Sarah.
No. Sorry, Leicester City have entered the race for Carvalho as talks start for the former Fulham player. This is from Romano. So yeah, Leicester are
Okay.
are talking to us. They're trying to buy him. We
Interested.
rejected a
They're
bid
interested
from.
in coming. Okay.
No, they're entered. They're in
Yeah,
the
we
race.
already rejected the bid. Yeah, we did reject the bid for
From Southampton.
Yeah, we already did. Yes.
Yeah, from Southampton.
Yes.
So they're in the and Cooper knows him. So yeah, I think it'd be a great signing for Leicester. But you're not getting him for less than 25 million, and don't even think about it. You're not getting him for less than 25 million.
Yeah. Hyler got
That's
Diaz.
a fee
Elliott
worth letting him go for £25 million. Pounds. Well, obviously they're English, so like it in pounds, but that's a fee worth letting him go for potentially, but not 15. That's too low. 15.
No.
Yeah. No, it's a real question. That truly is a real question for me now as to where and how a lot of these players fit in and where they do fit in. One player, or there's two players I'm going to bring up actually that are very hot topics for possible players that we're going to be our first quote unquote, I guess you say, not to say big name, but definitely a big acquisition or a big not sale, buy for us. And the one player I'm going to start off with here is a fullback position. He plays left back. Technically, he could play a center back role, but he's he's small. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I wouldn't see him trying to be a center back. He might have like a Lissandro or something like that, but like or the Butcher, excuse me, for Argentina. But more so, the player I was going to bring up is this player right here, and that is Julio Soler, excuse me. He is a player that came out of nowhere.
Years old.
Yeah, well, he is very young. He's 19 years old.
Yeah, he looks about 14.
Yeah.
He's not getting in the club. He's not getting in the club.
I looked when I was like about 14 as a footballer, like a little skinny thing.
Well, this is a report according to Alan Nixon, who has revealed that Liverpool believes Soler has the potential to be a long-term successor for Andy Robertson. So basically, they're looking at playing him at left back. He's very, very rapid. Has good ability to do progressive carries. I know he does. You guys keep going lower and lower with the age here. Yeah. And he is a player that is very, very highly appreciated by Argentina. Plays for the U21s. Their U21s. Is a talented player, very talented player. But he's actually playing in the Olympics right now. So if you do want to see him play, you could probably check that. Or did they wait? Argentina got knocked out. Actually, I think Argentina just got knocked out. So
did you not see the drama between France and Argentina?
Yeah.
The entirely predictable drama between France and Argentina.
Yeah.
So sing your songs now, bitches. It was a lot of that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Big up, Milante.
The asking price. He plays for Lannis in Argentina, and the asking price is in the region of only 13 million pounds. So it's not some big. Oh, are we really going to drop 25 million or 30 million on a 19-year-old or something like that? 13 million pounds. How long would it be
before he's allowed to play? I think 5 years or some shit.
I know. He looks about 6 months old.
Oh, mate, he does look like a schoolboy, I've got to say. Yeah. Like, that's what made me laugh. It sort of like gave me nostalgia and like what you call it, deja vu.
Yeah. Big up to Nalante, by the way. I see you, brother.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, he'd be someone that if we were to go out and get this player, I could see us buying the player. I don't know if we would do. I don't know if personally, this is at least my perception, or at least my opinion, at least. If we were to buy the player, let's say we give him 15 million pounds, something like that, right? 13, 15 million pounds. And we get this player in. I don't know if we go and say, oh, well, like, do another year, continue another year in Argentina. Maybe we try to find him a team, maybe in Portugal or something like that. Or do we necessarily try to bring him or do we bring him here and we try to?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. That's a reasonable idea. Aside in Portugal or something, so it's not as much of a culture shock initially leaving Argentina. He can go to Portugal.
Right.
Speak
That's
in his
exactly what I was
native,
thinking.
he can
Yeah.
speak in his native tongue to people, like, and people can speak to him, and in the tongue that he understands, and then he could make.
Not Portuguese. He's Spanish.
Yeah, I know, but it's similar, and they can pick.
Oh, you've just insulted a whole lot of people there, right there.
Spanish people.
If you want to, by the way,
he's quite easy, and the other way around, can't they? It's not like a million miles away from each other.
No, I get what you're saying. No. I don't like the idea of spending 13 million pounds on a child that isn't going to play for us. I don't like those deals. I mean, that is actually a lot of money for that player. 13 million for that guy is actually quite expensive, I would have thought. And Ian Mack is right. I remember because we were talking about this last night. Lannis, we got Leto from them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like players. I know I'm not a very patient person, so I like people to join us straight away. This is one for the future kind of thing. Yeah. So, but everyone's saying he's deadly. So in 2 years' time, bring him in and get him on the books. Fine, but if he's not joining straight away, it's a little bit of an anticlimax.
I get that. I don't know if 13 million for the potential like heir apparent to your left back is that like.
No, because like Robert.
Well, no, it is for them
for the team for Landis.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what you're saying.
No,
yes.
but for them, that's a lot of money. Like even for us, it's not small beans. Like you could bring in that kind of potential player. Like potentially he might be the left back, but potentially he might not be. So it is a big wedge to put down on a very young player. It's a lot of money for a young player, that isn't joining your squad, even in today's market. 13 million. But Darryl put in a shout there earlier on saying that we've agreed a £14 million deal to sell Owen Beck to Celtic.
I don't know if we've agreed to that deal. I know that Celtic was in. I mean, like
that news from.
Yeah, I don't know if we. I know Celtic was interested in him, but I mean, like, what was? I mean, weren't you telling us about how like. What's the top sale that's ever been done in Scotland? Like as in,
Yeah, it's still the 12 million that Toriander Flo cost. 12 million pounds then.
So you're gonna tell me that Owen Beck, I get that he played for Celtic too, but like it's going to be now the record signing of the Scottish.
Well, he wouldn't be because that 12 million adjusted for inflation is around 21 today. So,
but he's still, but he would. He
would technically, yes, in a number wise.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Again, I said that's why I said Queevy and Keller won't go to Celtic because they don't have 25 million quid spent on a goalkeeper. Like a loan or something like that, but. That I just thought like this is so Michael Edwards. I mean, 25 million for Carvalho, 15 million for Owen Beck, without even realizing that we've got 40 million quid in our transfer kitty by selling two guys that probably mightn't have played for us in a big way. That was very Michael Edwardsy kind of. All of a sudden we're back to selling players we clearly don't actually have a plan to use, or we have decided aren't good enough, but we still get big money for them. That's I like that. It's sort of before you know it, you've added 50 to 60 to your bank account without selling, without having to sell a Sabazai or without, you've quietly done what Chelsea do and brought in 50, 60 million quid on players who aren't in the first team plans. But hey, look, it's the start. They said stuff was going to happen in August, didn't they?
I'll move right. Like, it's funny because these next, I said two. I actually have, I have three actually, including Julio here. But the very next player then that is being rumored that we're very, very interested in. I'll just move one notch over then to the center back role, and that is we're apparently back into the works of possibly pursuing this young man right here. Looks like we're looking at William Pacho, the defender, for around 50 million. Now that's a definite jump from a 13 million pound left back, future replacement of Andy, to going to 50 million pounds, which is certainly quite a bit. Pacho does play in the Bundesliga, so you do see a little bit more elevated prices when it comes to trying to get players from the Bundesliga. But I mean, is this a necessary? Is this now completely necessary for us to go in for a player like this, or is this something that we don't necessarily have to do? JK, my fault. Sorry, JK. Oh, JK, sorry, that's good. JK. Okay, cool, JK.
For me, like, Beck looks promising. I said yesterday that he'd be one guy I wouldn't really want to sort of loan or anything, because like we've seen last season that Gomez came in because Andy Robertson and both injured. So I'd rather have a natural left-footed left back just in case we need him, Enough games for the lad to play as well. And the guy's got high praises in the way he plays as well. So I wouldn't be really, I don't know, man. I just feel that maybe we need a destroyer instead of wasting money on a back or left back or anything like that.
And I get that too, by the way. Let me say to Luke and to Honcho and also to Ian. I know that PSG is looking at or in talks to try to sign him. I know that they are very, very interested in going and getting this player to be a part of PSG. But this also could be just the agent trying to make things a little bit more like, to accelerate the process a little bit, to kind of get things moving more so and get it finalized by, putting it out there of Liverpool or looking to reignite their interest.
Well, in terms of reigniting, I mean, the people in the chat were pretty quick to throw water on the fire there and douse that.
Yeah.
I mean, within 2 seconds there, because he's going PSG. So, okay, well, is this a real thing? Because I saw him, again, look, I don't want to sound like...
Dave Osikoff does put out pretty decent. He does put out
exactly. I think we're interested. Yeah, I'm sure we're on. Like, he was listed. I don't like bringing up other people's kind of shows and stuff. Just repeating somebody else's opinion. It's boring. Nobody wants to hear it. But he was listed in the Tifo Sensible Transfers video that they did about Liverpool, which, to be honest, is one of the only ones that those that I will watch. They are excellent. They are really well researched, and they're not just transfer rumors. They go into detail about players, and he was the second when they were talking about centre halves. He was the one that they brought up for us second, not the one that they thought we should buy, but he's someone that really they went into detail on him and why he suited our profile and what we needed. So I was interested to see him pop up there because they were talking about him as someone who it really would fit Liverpool.
What nationality is he?
He is South American. Ecuadorian. It's Ecuadorian. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they were talking about Hinsape was the big one, and they were saying, well, Hinsape is the one that everyone we're talking about. So they were saying we're going to actually go for Pancho, and then there was Ignacio, but he was someone they talked about. So I'm interested to see where that comes. But then, yeah, just as soon as you popped up, I hadn't seen that. I was like, oh, Pacho. They were talking about him in that video, and then within 2 seconds, it's PSG. So for fuck's sake, okay, if he's yeah.
No. I was going to say too. Hyler brought up the comment by Sky Germany being like rumored Reds center back target. William Pacho is set to join PSG from Myrick with the deal believed to be close. And I do know it is supposed to be close, but it's not. Until we've also heard that Diaz was. But Diaz was close. There's been a couple of players that have been close to them going to other teams, and then they end up not going there. And then Ian was also had to say, if we sell Beck to Celtic, then we would have Robbo, Costas, and Gomez, and Luke Chambers for the left back spot. I know, and that's why it was very interesting to hear the whole Julio Soler, rumor pop up as a target. A hot target of what we might be interested in. There is this final player that I wanted to bring up here that was not necessarily, I don't know if I would call it a surprise, because I know Brian was very bullish on this player. Considering his play in the Euros, I was very, very interested in it, especially since we were looking at possibly the exit of a player in his role. And that is George E. Mama Darshvili, right? Darshvili.
Mamrashvili.
Yeah. And
cool.
It's not that much, and the reported price for him is not as much as I thought it would be. One, especially since he had a very good Euros, which can sometimes elevate the price a little bit more. Second, he is playing for Valencia. So it's not like he's playing for, like some small team that will pretty much take whatever they can get for him. And also the fact that it's been reported that we could possibly get this deal done for a reported $26 million. That is very, very, very good for a player whose market value is put out there as being around 40 million pounds. So we just saw how Kelleher really did, started to grow into the role. Like it wasn't the best of best, but then he became the best of best. I'm not going to take a knock at him. Don't worry, Arshan.
No, it's saying hi to Philip. That's all. Saying hi to Philip.
Oh, yeah, big up, Bill. Big up, Bill. But is this an acquisition that you would like to see happen, or do we just try to temper Kelleher's, ideas of moving on to another team and keep Kelleher and not worry about bringing in a player like this? Georgie is 23 years old, very, very tall goalkeeper, 6'7", by the way.
Jesus.
Very, very tall. I don't know if he's very good with the ball at his feet. That's something that if anyone could tell me that, I'd be interested to hear their perception on that. But again, we'll start with JK or we'll start with okay, cool. We'll start with JK on this one. Again, is this a goalkeeper that you can get behind?
Depends on how much game time he wants. When you think about it, we've got Alisson, Kelleher. Where's this guy going to fit in? That's the question. So,
yeah,
for a third choice, we're going to spend that 30-40 million. It's a bit expensive for me.
26 million is what's being reported.
Oh, okay. For a third choice. So, me personally, I like seeing the youth goalkeepers coming through as my third choice.
Yeah.
You get me? So that gives them a bit of motivation to reach the top, makes them work a bit harder instead of signing someone for say 26 million. Maybe he will get a game like Alisson.
Yeah. It's actually 30 million euros if you want to go into the Euros.
No, okay. So
That's
still
the
a little.
rumor right now on SB Nation. They have it as 30 million pounds is what the price is for him.
Okay, so for me, a little bit pricey for a third choice goalkeeper who might not get a lot of game
Oh,
time.
cool. Your mic sounds better too, by the way. Yeah.
Hello.
Oh,
Okay.
it did sound better. Yeah, it sounds great. Sounds great.
yeah. For me, I wouldn't get too excited about this signing because for me, it's all about game time. Will he get enough game time to go and spend 26 million on a third choice?
Certainly, but yeah. Does that, Lee? Is this a interest for you? I mean, because I don't know if this necessarily makes Kelleher that more expendable, in that like we could say, okay, well, we do have the needs, or maybe I don't know. I'm not suggesting this, but maybe it makes it that much easier. Maybe it makes it that much easier if Ali does want to go to Saudi Arabia, and we can get that 100 million or whatever it was, figure on the table, and these two fight it out for our top goalkeeper. Who knows? But I'm asking, is this player a
Definitely
player?
move.
Good. Irish.
Sorry. Yeah.
Lee, give us your answer, and then we'll go to the Irishman.
No, it doesn't really excite me. Like, I mean, we were linked with him, and I was like, okay, excellent, but there is quite a bit of bewilderment with me, like why we'd be looking for the new goalkeeper at the moment. Kelleher, the money we get for Kelleher wouldn't be anything more, or possibly even less than what it would cost to buy Mamas, really. So, what would be the point in swapping the two? Like, we're not gaining anything, are we, money wise or anything? We're just having a different number two, unless we think he'd be like a quieter number two. Who's just like, yeah, I'm here to be number two. Don't worry about me. I don't care. Who knows?
Go ahead, Irishman.
No, just what Ian is saying there. It only makes sense if someone's leaving.
Right.
You're not buying him. Yeah, you're not buying him to be Adrian's replacement. He's going to come in and push. You want him to come in and push, because there's nothing better than having a world-class goalkeeper like Ali. But when he's sitting there going, I ain't got no competition here. I can have 5 bad games and I'm not getting dropped. When you've got a guy in training you're looking over your shoulder going, if I don't perform every single time, he's taking my spot. That's how good when you get to the top and you've won trophies, you've got all the money you need. Very few things can actually drive you on. And that kind of challenge and that kind of threat to your place, it's well documented in sport, especially in football, that having someone behind you that is ready to take your place and good enough to take your place drives on your level of performance. It what's the word? It protects against a sort of a complacency coming in, where someone goes, it doesn't matter if I have 5 games because our next best goalkeeper is Adrian. When you're sitting there looking at this guy, he's like, if you're running 9.8 to get into track team, this guy is running 9.9. You have to keep running 9.8, or else you know what I'm saying? If the next best guy is running 11, you're cool. You're golden. Your place is not under threat. But if the next best guy is sitting there looking at you going, I want my shout, I want my spot, I want your place, I want your job, it drives you on. So again, like Ian said, if you got him for 26 million this year, you sold Kelleher to let Kelleher go on and have his whatever, and then Ali is leaving next season, then that would make a lot of sense. But to me, this guy doesn't join unless someone says, I'm leaving. A great replacement for Kelleher if Kelleher goes, and then you've got a really good long term. But yeah, like Lee said, you're probably even. It's going to be even on the money. So a low. What's the word? A low priority goalkeeper, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, unless we
low
believe.
priority.
Yeah, a more
Yeah.
settled number two, like who wouldn't want to play as often. Then I don't see the point in the transfer. But I don't think Queven will kick that much of a fuss up next season as long as he does play, which he will. You know what I mean? He's been playing now, like he's a little bit more than your number two now, isn't he? He's under consideration for a lot of games, Queven, like. Um,
Well, Klopp did his cup thing, didn't he? He had his nice little thing where, look, you're guaranteed to play in the cup, and he switched it up. I thought was really intelligent when we dropped into the Europe when we were in the Champions League. Kelleher played all the Carling Cup games and all the FA Cup games, but when we dropped into the Europa League, Kelleher started playing in the Europa, and Ali was playing in the FA Cup, and Queven was playing in the League Cup. So he was giving him minutes, and he was giving him minutes in Europa. That was a really clever idea, I thought, from Klopp to give him the Europa League and give Ali back the FA Cup. But it meant that Queven was always he knew he was our first choice keeper as long as we were in those two cup competitions.
It was typical of Klopp to do that, and Queven will have been made up because everyone wants to play in Europe, don't they? All players want to play in Europe,
especially for Liverpool at Anfield. That's a dream for most people. You want to play for Liverpool. If that's your dream, then what's your next best? What's the next bit of the dream? European nights under the lights. That's the next thing.
I can tell you this though. One thing that would be unique, or not unique, but a cool addition, excuse me, is that having a 6'7" goalkeeper will certainly help on those corners that we have to defend against. And those set pieces that we have to defend against that we've had some issues with. Having a 6'7", Georgian coming through the middle and scooping up those crosses would certainly, be a little bit more reassured.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be very interesting. I can understand this not being the highest priority. What's really wild about this summer, at least, and I get because of the things that we spoke about yesterday. Excuse me again, about the PSR and about the spending powers of the clubs and how that's changing a lot of focal points for these teams as they go into the transfer windows. But on top of that. I know that this team originally, a lot of people had a lot of question marks about how and what players we needed to get. All these players. I mean, there were people that were saying, what that one guy I was talking to about with JK, I think in Lee, about this one guy that was on another channel talking about he needs 7 players. He wants to bring in 7 players in this summer window, and I'm just like, that's ridiculous. This is a team that was contending for the good majority of the year. A team that did win a cup, should have won possibly another major competition. We should have probably at least been in the running to win the Europa. If not, certainly we should have been in. I was hoping to be in the running longer for the Prem, but 7, it's ridiculous. 6, still slightly ridiculous. Okay, 5, 4, you start to bring down this number and it gets to be a little bit more realistic. But now I think a lot of people are starting to get under the I wouldn't say comfortability of it, but but at least a slightly acceptable state of mind to think that maybe if we don't make any sales or make any buys, we can still work with this team. We can still make something out of this team, And maybe you do bring in 1 player or maybe possibly 2. But now that 1 or possibly 2 is a far leap from those people saying for 5, 6, 7 players. Is that an interpretation that you have too, Irishman?
Oh yeah, like the best teams, you should always change. You should always upgrade. It's one of the things that always gets cited most for why Alex Ferguson was so successful, that
Yeah.
he would change components in that team that the rest of the football world would look at and go, he's amazing, he's brilliant, he's one of their best players. Bang, he's out the door, and they've just signed someone better. Like, that's how you do it. But it was two. It was two maximum if he could help it. If you need to bring in 7 new players, your club is in trouble, real
Yeah.
trouble, and our club isn't.
Chelsea
It's-
thing, that, isn't it? That's one of Chelsea's ploys now, to bring in like 7 or 8 new players every window and hope that
Just-
it works. It just isn't working.
Minor
Right.
upgrades, every
That's-
1 or 2
that's-
upgrades.
that's-
When we were at our best, we always added 1 or 2 good players every summer. We were the same as what Fergie was. He looked at the way we operated, and we always got a couple of players every summer, regardless of how well we done. Didn't matter how well we done, we bought new players every summer. At least 2.
It's keeping players on their toes. That's what it does. It keeps the likes of Paul Ince, Kenny Dalglish, these guys, they're looking around going, bloody hell, they just sold him.
Yeah.
I could be next. And how do I stop being next? I perform to the best of my abilities. That's how you stop being the next guy out the door. That's how the highest clubs operate. 1 or 2 minor adjustments, improvements all the time.
Right.
Yeah, 7 is crazy. Absolute crazy talk.
That's craziness, right? Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, when you really think about it, and you're on these other streams, because I mean, you're rarely going to hear that on this stream. Like the panel here is not. I've never heard the panel say we need to bring in 8 players or 7 players, or that's almost like a full starting 11. Like
who you selling?
Who are you selling to?
The least turnover every summer, the better. The least turnover in players every summer, the better. The squad will be for it, because there's less upheaval. Sometimes squads do need a major overhaul, but you can't do it all at once. You can't overhaul a squad all in one go.
No, that happens certainly.
You try doing that. You've got to do it piecemeal.
Yeah, as Popta says, that would be an Ipswich. That would be like a Nottingham Forest. They made when they came into the league, they bought like it's not like they're just buying players just to buy players at one point.
Yeah. They buy 101 players or some stupid number like that.
And that's the thing about it. Like, when sometimes when you're on these other channels and you hear these panelists say, "Oh, I bring in like all these," you gotta take it with a grain of salt and be like, "Look, we get it. You play FIFA or you play Football Manager or something like that. We get it, but that's not real life. You cannot do that in real life. It just doesn't work. And if you are doing that, it means that your team is in serious trouble. Okay. But yeah, it's just funny, pretty funny.
It's like you bring your car in for the service every year, isn't there? No, but it's like when you come in, you bring your car in, right? You got your high-end car, it's souped up. You spent a lot of money on it, like our team. You bring it in once a year, and they just go, "Yeah, that just needs this. Needs a couple of new tires.
Right?
Might need a gas the AC. A couple of little things." You don't want to turn around and they go, "Well, you don't want them to hand you, well, it needs this. Well, your car, what the hell is wrong with my car?
Yeah.
You spend a lot of money on
oil change, man.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And now you're telling me I need a new gearbox, I need a new this, I need a new rear end, come on, no. It's fine tuned, it's right there. Minor little adjustments. That's all that this team should ever take. Yeah, if you're going out there, like Pop said, you're going in bringing in Nottingham Forest jobs, bringing in 20 new players. Brilliant for fans, by the way. Brilliant for fans. I'm not waking up every day to find out we've signed someone else. Brilliant.
But is that possibly Irishman? And then I'll ask Lee and I'll ask JK the same question, and I can ask even the chat too. Is that maybe the problem in that, like, sometimes people are so hell bent on winning the transfer race or whatever you want to call it, or the transfer title, I guess, as if there's a transfer title. Like, people are so hell bent on trying to say, "Oh, we've got to get a player in, because if we don't get a player in, it means that we can't say yes, we got the best player in the market, or we got the big name in the market." Like, sometimes, is it just good to, like, kind of say, okay, look, you look at your cards and you say, you know what, I'm gonna hold on to these, you know, like as in run it back, like as we call it here in America, at least we like to say sometimes, like, you know, you make a good run and you see something go or happen, and you might make a change. We just made a major change. Obviously, we just brought in a new coach. That's a major change. But now that we have this change up, like maybe you run it back with the same guys, but you just run it back and you take a different angle at it, you know, or you take a different approach with the same guys. It's just a matter of utilizing those players rather than saying we made an acquisition just to make an acquisition.
It's called winning the transfer window, I think is what they call it. You know, it has become, it has now become a separate sport in itself, or almost its own entertainment industry. Is the transfer window, because
Chelsea
put
are legendary for that too, by the way.
Yeah, because they put it into a tiny little area, a tiny little window.
Right.
So it becomes, you know, it's made for it. Like, and yeah, you do get, again, I judge on history, I judge on data, I judge on the past. I don't judge like, oh, you bought a new guy, he might do this if he does that, when he does that. All future tense, guys. Those are all future tense words. Nothing has been done when you buy a player. All you've done is buy a player.
Right.
So, you know, that guy can be a complete disaster or he can be the best in the world. But we all know, even buying the best players at the highest prices, bringing them to the best clubs, no guarantee of success.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you bought the most players. Or again, it's this thing that, you know, these people love to throw at us. And Healor said it earlier on to trigger us. Ipswich have spent more than ye. Such and such club have spent more than ye. It's because, because their club was an absolute mess and they needed 100 players.
Right.
Go figure.
The headline for a while that people kept running with was, you know, there's only been, I can't remember the second team. There's like, we were part of the only two teams that hadn't made a big name transfer, and then eventually we became the only team in Premier in the PL that hasn't made some big name transfer just yet, you know, and that is like a sticking point. I've seen what's his name, Gunnar, not Gunnar Lee, Lee Gunnar, right? Isn't that his name? I think.
Oh yeah, Lee Gunnar. Yeah, that's it.
He made a whole episode. I actually have I screenshotted it because he's sitting there smoking his cigarettes, you know, and just loving every minute of what he's got to say about, like, oh, Liverpool's in trouble, you know. I saw the football terrace, Terry from Football Terrace made an episode about it as well. He made an episode. Oh, Liverpool are in trouble. They haven't made any big name acquisitions. What are they doing? They're a team in chaos. And I'm just like, really? You're a United fan, and you're gonna say we're the team in chaos?
I'm reasonably happy with our squad. I'm reasonably happy with the squad we've got. But, you know, I won't deny that I do want a couple of new players, only two. One would do even, but I am reasonably happy with what we've got. Although I don't think it would be enough to give us a great season unless we add one or two. I think to have a really good season, we need to add one or two to what we've got.
Yeah. Some great points, by the way, by the chat. JK, do you have something you want to include before I start going into some of the chat's comments here?
No, you can carry on, bro.
Okay. Yeah. Ian's saying these past 3 weeks have been so useful for the new manager and staff to see what the squad is made of and who stays and who goes. And it has been. We've seen players really step up their interest. You know, we've had players that said they wanted out, said that they want to go here or there, you know, or and we've seen them been pretty integral parts of this preseason, and really, if anything, be renewed in their interest possibly of fighting for positions, you know, and even if it's a matter of like Konate and Kwanzaa, for instance, you know, like there's a real vested battle there for a player that, obviously, initially Konate was looked at as being the VVD's center back pair. But I mean, I think Kwanzaa's made a very strong shout to say he needs to be that pair for him. But yes, it goes on to say, plus where we need to strengthen in the next few weeks is what he has to go to say. There's a comment by Hyler that was like, I want to make sure I brought this up too. He says, Hyler says, imagine this money we earn now is from way back in the day when Edwards was doing the business for Liverpool, which included sell-on clauses. That has to be 5 to 10 years ago. And he is right. There is a part and point. I'm going to bring this point back up somewhat, but there is something else that I wanted to talk about. It's Liverpool related, but also it deals with another club. But I'm going to bring this point back up in a second. I'm going to make sure I get into some of the other points by the other chat.
Cover your ears, JK. Cover your ears.
Yeah. Bernie says, if you are playing poor football, you want someone, but there is a lot to be said for a well-drilled squad who trust each other. That's so spot on. I love Bernie's comments. They're always really, really, really thoughtful and very, very astute.
A lot of new players in our team.
Yeah. With the inclusion of the youth academy, yes. Arnie Slot,
a lot of new players, in our team. Like, there's a lot of players in our team that have only just kind of got here as well.
Honesty Hortensia says, Arnie Slot and Richard Hughes will sit down with Fab this week and amid interest in 21-year-old Southampton, Leicester, Fulham, and other clubs across Europe. Oh, he's giving us an update from Lewis Steele. This is also Bajan Pops had to say. What does winning the transfer window mean? Absolutely nothing, because City haven't won it once in a decade, right? And also, let's just get it real. City hasn't really done anything this transfer window.
Just Savio is all they've got from Girona, the winger.
That's
all it was. Savinho. He was called Savio at Girona. That's what they called him. He was called Savio. And now that he's come to England and he's joined Man City, he's called Savinho. To make him sound more, like a Brazilian wonder kid, they literally changed his name because Savio Nazarenko is also famously one of the worst signings in the history of the Premier League. He went to join West Ham. So I guarantee you, City literally said, we don't like the name Savio. Can you change it? That club is not human. That is literally the Death Star.
Said that to him.
No, I guarantee you, he was called Savio in Spain.
That's crazy.
He was called Savio in Spain, and now he's called Savinho.
Wow.
Marketing, right?
Yeah, marketing. Yeah, Pops goes on to say they have all been speaking of our demise for nearly a decade. They have been, and it's really sad. They've been talking about how we've been going downhill. Yeah, here we are.
Well, it's that famous quote, isn't it? Rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yes, they have. I'm going to circle back to that comment of Hyler earlier, but I'm going to bring up Honesty's comment here. Liverpool's interest in Anthony Gordon remains, as does the wingers' interest in securing a move to Anfield. If Gordon delays signing a contract extension, Newcastle will have a decision to make. I said it before, I'll say it again. I know I've told the guys this is that I am currently in therapy for this Gordon thing, because I'm definitely trying to prepare myself if we do have to take on Gordon as a red. Look, if he becomes a red, I will support him, obviously, because it means obviously would mean the best interest of our club having a player that can contribute to it. But oh my goodness, Mr. Speedos himself, with all the diving, is someone that I'm not necessarily so high up on. There was also, this is the point of what I wanted to bring up here too. So the next topic, and again, it's related to Liverpool in this, and it relates to what Hyler said earlier about how some of these deals and some of these deals that we've made in the past might benefit us in the long run. And one of those players is a Dominic Solanke. He is someone that is very, very highly coveted at the moment right now. He's a player that is being looked at by a couple of teams in the Prem to possibly be their solution for a 9 or a striker. I was just thinking the fact that we did just play against Manchester United. And what's unique about it is that, like I've said it, I think Dara brought it up as well. I think that there's been other people that brought up the biggest goal, I think, for this year, for this summer, was to go through preseason and not having injuries. That was priority one, I think, for all of us. Because like to have that kind of setback is horrible, especially when it's to a player that you actually want to see be a part of, or is an integral part of the team. So that was good. But we saw, on the other hand, the Red Devils have their big name that they just bought in Euro go down for 3 months. Now also Hoyland is out for 3 months as well. I don't know if anyone knew that or not, but Hoyland's out for 3 months.
They lost 3 against us, didn't they? I think they lost 3 against us, I think.
Yeah, they also lost Fisk as well.
And Jones as well, who I forgot was still there. Or not Jones.
Wan-Bissaka?
Evans.
Well, they lost 3 in that game. Yeah, they lost Wan-Bissaka, they lost Evans, and they lost the youngster I just said too.
And they're trying to sell Wan-Bissaka as well, which isn't great for him. They're trying to sell him to fund their not fund it, but they bought your man Mazraoui, the right back, so they were trying to sell Wan-Bissaka to who was it?
I'm imagining it. Or was Wan-Bissaka £50 million? Or was it 30?
45, nearly 50. Yeah, he
Whoa.
Yeah. Who were they trying to sell him to? Oh, I can't remember. Someone was coming. They were saying they were getting rid of him, and someone had put a bid on the table. Oh crap! I can't remember who it is.
Okay. But what I was saying too, I just saw the Redbird asking what it was juice.
Yeah, I don't know what Trap Joe is going on about. I don't know. It's not the worst call in the world to say that. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, juice. That juice. Oh, okay. I got you. I thought you were talking about like gin and juice. Sorry. Like Snoop's. Because I mean, I saw BBD whip out the gin and juice. So I thought that's what you're talking about.
No, if people want to know what my daily intake is so far today, I think it's about 5 coffees, 6 juices, 1 beer, and some other things, but medication.
Yeah.
And 2 cups of tea. 2 cups of tea as well, actually.
Well, what I was getting at is that look, Rashford as a false 9 was pretty woeful against us, I think, in that game. Again, like I said, Hoyland out for 3 months. Manchester United's going to make a last-ditch effort, they say, for possibly bringing in a number 9, which is going to be very interesting if they do. Some of the names that have been on there have been Ollie Watkins, Dominic Solanke.
Solanke? To Man United?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's, I mean, and obviously the Ivan Toney is going to be thrown in there as well as being a name that's been offered as it. But Ollie Watkins is one. Dominic and Ollie are 2 of the bigger name, or 2 of the names that are more closer to the top of the list for possible bringing in a player. It made me think though, is this bringing in a player like a Watkins, let's say hypothetically, or even if they do bring in Dominic, which again was why I brought up the point, is because we'll get a piece of that. We'll get a piece of whatever they pay for Dominic. Some of that money is coming back to Liverpool's transfer kitty, which is pretty cool to keep in mind. So we do. I would love for him to get a big name or a big deal transfer, and go to a team and then end up helping that having that help us bring in a player or solidify another player that we could bring in ourselves. But they're bringing in, if they do bring in a player like that, does that create more uncertainty than needed? Considering what do you do when Highland is healthy again? You know, like the same could be asked about like with United. And I know that, and this is a quick question on our Red Devils. Same could be said with De Ligt. They're talking about bringing in De Ligt because, especially now, because of Euro going down. But Euro will come back in 3 to 4 months. You know, I would say 4 months to be like in form, possibly, and healthy, and really kicking along. That then creates a problem of you just promised this guy, this young center back minutes, and now you have De Ligt here. You know, so are the Red Devils really kidding themselves? Or are they about to create more problems than they really like? Are they about to create more problems than they necessarily need? I'm sure that we all would like for them to do so, but I'm just asking: is that plan a feasible plan? Irishman, what do you think? Pop says they need all of them. They need all those players.
Well, yeah, it's of course I haven't really thought too much about what they need, but they need. I think they need a number 9. I mean, they went out and they did what I said we used to do back in the day was when you drop out of the top bracket and you can no longer attract those ready-made players, you get caught in the trap of trying to buy the next guy. And Hoyland was the next whatever. I mean, the guy had basically 18 senior career goals when they bought him. I mean, you're not buying the ready-made art. You're not buying top bracket there. You're paying the biggest money to make sure that you get this guy that everybody else is trying to take or might want in 2 years, and you're hoping it works out. So then you bring him in for what, 70 million quid, 60, 70 million quid nearly. And guess what? He's a young kid. He gets injuries. He doesn't perform immediately. He can't be their main man. It just can't be. So they don't have, like, name another striker that they have. So it doesn't surprise me. I was laughing at the Solanke thing, but if you put him in a team, he showed it last year was probably his best year for Bournemouth. If you put him in a team that will create chances for him and all of that, yada, 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 he will score goals. But he's still Dominic Solanke. I mean, if you're talking Ollie Watkins, okay, maybe, yeah, he will eat, as the guys like to say, he will eat food at Man United. Definitely. Look what he did last year at Villa. He tore up the Premier League. I don't like him myself. Great player. I just don't like him. Just something about I don't know. I just don't like him. It would make sense for them to go by a fit forward who's proven in the Premier League that can score goals, rather than going out and spending money on Hoyland, who might in 2 years. This kind of nonsense. You don't spend 70 million quid on might in 2 years. You build it on you spend it on we win the league next year. That's what you spend it on. Right. So well, it makes sense for them to go out, but I don't know.
This isn't. And again, I know Pops is saying who cares is United. I get that.
I was trying to answer the question.
We all care less about what if United are in trouble or not in trouble. If anything, we would like to see them be in trouble and in need. But what I am saying is that if they were to go out and say, if they were in such a need for a striker, and one of those strikers happens to be Solanke, right? We will exactly why I'm bringing it up, Ian. We will get a piece of that sale.
Yeah, we'll benefit.
And when it comes to United, we all know they normally overpay for their players. Solanke is a player that's now the market value for Solanke is around 38 million pounds. Let's call it 40 to go just make it easy number. So let's say it's a 40 million pound market player. If you're talking about him going to another Premier League team, let's add another 10 to that at least. So now we're talking about like 50 million. You know, if he's going to United, that's at least another 5, if not 10 million that you're going to put on top of that. So now you're looking at like a 55, 60 million pound acquisition for them. And we're going to get a piece of that.
Yeah. We got a nice piece, wouldn't we? There, we got a nice little chunk, 20%.
Yeah. So that's why I'm bringing this up. Is that like, I don't really like. I just wanted to see if like maybe like as in, and I wish Solanke the best, you know, like as in, you know, he's but
We'd be looking at about 10 million, wouldn't we? Like if he got sold for 60, we'd be looking at that's about 12 million in it, like
12 million. Yeah.
So
that's nice. That's a nice. That's Solanke gets sold. Well, you know, yeah, and that makes that, you know, and then you take that, you could take that change and put it on top of whatever big deal you want to do.
Times last season, Dom looked really good under Areola. Areola really got him, got him going.
Great
didn't
manager,
with
really
Simeone,
good manager.
Antoine Simeone, and the other forwards, Justin Clive. He really got something out of Dom, something extra that maybe the other Bournemouth managers hadn't. Yeah. But he looked the part at times last season. He missed a few sitters. I've seen him miss a few howls, but he scored a few beauties as well. He's quite a proficient finisher nowadays.
He gets a lot of assists as well. So I think he's undervalued.
Play, isn't he, for opponents?
He came through Chelsea. We bought him. You don't come through Chelsea and get bought by Liverpool if you're not good. It didn't work out for us or for him at us, obviously, because that's what we were doing, was trying to buy the next when we brought him in. But you don't come through those clubs without being good. You know what I mean? He's too good for Bournemouth. He's probably outgrown them a little bit now.
It is 20% too, by the way.
Yeah.
It is 20%.
And the only thing, if that's still active, just in case, that may have been renegotiated, because sometimes when players sign new contracts, they can be renegotiated, perhaps. But if it's still active,
it's still active.
Okay, if it's still active.
On This Is Anfield, they're talking about the clause inserted in the Solanke deal. No, that was just updated 20
All right,
hours.
JK.
Take care, guys.
Take care, JK.
Bye, Jerry. Please. Bye.
But yeah, 20% is what we would end up getting. And look, that's not the only team that's looking at possibly. They're looking at. There's a report here of 65 that Chelsea have shown interest in signing the former player for £65 million. Chelsea. But yeah,
I had to buy him back. Yeah, at that price, and we got a big chunk of it. I'd love that. That would be sweet if Chelsea specifically had to pay the fee, and we got a large chunk of it. I'd be amazed.
Spurs are another team that are interested in Solanke. That's the whole point of why I was bringing it up. Is that like, you know, and I get it. I get Pops is saying it's not that. He's saying, let's be honest, it's not. 12 million isn't that big of a windfall, and if we were getting excited by that, I'm a bit concerned. Didn't we say that for 14 million for Endo wasn't going to move the needle? It's not. It's
player with Endo. Someone, if we sell him, Dom, that windfall would be for nothing. We've already sold a lot. You know what I mean? But we get more, wouldn't we?
I think 12 minutes to do with that high lower comment that you brought up earlier on, that I was joking with JK covering his ears about. He was mentioning how in 4 years' time, 5 years' time, or after 4 years, we're still reaping the rewards of Michael Edwards' deal making.
Right.
In terms of how we've already brought in £4 million. I think obviously £4 million is chump change, as you guys would say, to LFC, but it shows that we're still bringing in money from these deals. And like I was saying earlier on, when I was talking about the and please don't anybody get their back up about the language I use here, but when I'm saying selling players who were never going to play for the club, like Carvalho and Beck, I'm just speaking broadly, we're probably never going to play for the club, right? Long term. And all of a sudden, we've got 40 million added to our kitty, and a few transfer deals go through where Edwards has put in some clauses, and we got another 10 million. So what I'm saying is, it's so Michael Edwards too, without really having done anything or sold anybody of massive import. we've added 50 million to our kitty. That is just such a very Michael Edwards kind of thing. And that's a very clever club thing to do, because you're talking about, again, amortization, pure profit on Beck, pure profit on a player like Keller. Well, not pure profit, but it's all adds up. And this is how clubs like us are having to compete now when it comes to the markets. Now it's like we also hang on how, but everyone's everyone says how have Chelsea got away with this? How to have Chelsea got away with it? Look at who they've sold.
Yeah,
But look at who they've sold. We're not Chelsea fans, so we don't pay attention. They've sold loads of players.
Yeah, they have
for fees like that.
Especially to Saudi Arabia too.
All these little players, it all adds up and it comes in, and that's so. It's basically how. It's just a nice little side. It's a side hustle. It's a nice little bit of extra money. But yeah, Pops is completely right. This is not the big thing. The big thing is going out and doing what we do and getting the right players in. But
let's
this
not
extra
money.
Money.
Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah,
look, I mean, like
it's clever
million,
business. It's clever business that we've
it's
got
20%.
these guys.
It's like reaching in your pocket and finding a 20. You're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. All right, well, yeah, maybe I can. Maybe I will make this expenditure, because now all of a sudden I have, a 20 that I didn't expect to have.
Yeah, you maybe you can go that extra mile on a player because, and the jobs to so many players on loan and they're making 100% profit from. Yeah, exactly, Pops. We need to get into that market of making proper money off players, and Edwards was doing that back in the day. No, not saying he's the only person that can do it.
No, he's not. But I mean that plus, we just talked about Owen Beck. I just spoke on. We're talking about Fab right now, who again, which is what I think honestly was putting it out there, and I think someone else mentioned it also about the fact that Fulham is going to get 20% of that deal, because they have a sell-on clause, a 20% sell-on clause for him. So, it's one of those cases where like. We did a decent amount of business to buy Fab, for instance. But if we were to resell him, chances are we're making a good bit of change. When we bought Davies, the player that never even played for us, okay, we made a couple of $1 million on that. It doesn't sound like a lot of money. I'm not saying, oh, that's the money that we use now to go buy some big name player, but every little bit counts, like. That piggy bank will start to add up once you start, putting all those numbers together. And that's why I'm saying like that is the bigger picture for me, not necessarily that it's if we sell Dominic and we make this, 10, 12 million or whatever it is that we make off of the sale, off of their sale. It's a sale that we made. We didn't do anything for.
Well, if we sold Carvalho for about 25 and we got like 12 off the Dom deal, there's 37, isn't it, towards the player?
Mm-hmm. Well,
and we've only lost one player there, haven't we? Doing that, and that's Carvalho.
Hey, this is how I see it. Like if it's what is it? I don't know what what's the equivalent of 60 million euros to pounds. Is that like what 50?
Yeah, about 50. Call it 50.
50 million. All right, so 50 million pounds. Well, that's the difference in that, Pops, is this. Hypothetically, we get 12 million from let's say we make 10 million, make it an easy number, okay? We get 10 million from the Solanke deal. Well, that now makes us going in for like a Kubo be like we were going in for 40 million in essence, because we just made 10 million profit from that. So it means that all we're looking to do is now can we get a possible right wing replacement, eventual replacement for Salah for 40 million is what I would look at as, because the 10 million was just a gift in essence. It's money that we weren't expecting to get. So that's why I'm putting it out there like that. That's at least my perspective on it.
Yeah, it's not something we want to do a parade for or give an award for, but it's just like these are the little things that we didn't used to do. These are the things that we got picked up on before and we weren't clever enough to do these kind of things, and it's just
Yeah.
what makes you kind of. It makes me comfortable. It makes me happy to know that there's someone who's that good at their job is the person that does that job for our club.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And on top of that, you know what's great about it is that, as Ian was just saying, Bobby Clark as well, they're looking for 12 million from RB Salzburg. I mean, like they're looking for a little bit more than 12 million. I think they're looking for like
Guys never kicked the ball for us, and they want 12 million for it. Come on, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You know, like
Yeah.
these boys back in the day, they were moving for 500,000.
Yeah.
Now we're just
That's
sitting. Now we're
what,
sitting
yeah.
at the table going, "No, we want 12 bloody million."
Yeah,
People
it
are,
was.
"What?"
It was
I'm
like
like, yeah,
half
no, we're not joking.
years ago, yeah, for young players who've
Yeah,
never like
we're like, we're not even joking. We want 12 million.
Right.
Okay,
There
so
are
you
those of
rate them,
us.
don't you? It's
See,
like, okay, pay up, bitch. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
no, it's where we fell behind before. Anybody that knows the history of why Man United are bigger than Liverpool right now in the Premier League is because of business. That's because of commercial shit. And it's
Yeah.
because of that kind
Yeah.
of back office stuff. We
Yeah.
were so far behind. We were so far behind. Now we're catching up on how to be clever. And people are looking at trying to make a negative out of it sometimes.
Yeah.
Go, oh, you're being prudent and you're trying to get money here. It's no. F these guys. You get your money. You don't get taken for a ride by clubs taking your best young players off you for half nothing.
Yeah, no, and I get
You
it.
know.
And I get Pops' comment. It says, with all due respect to you, I must confess, he doesn't care. We say the business is run properly, so we should expect these things and also hope that we reinvest so we can win now. Reason why I'm bringing that up is because quite often we hear the FSG out stuff. We hear the, we're not fit to, we're not doing good business, and we're not doing this, and we're not, all these different little different takes and jabs and the likes. And this isn't trying to be a testament of like trying to protect FSG and any rights, but why I'm bringing this all up though is because I do care. There are those of us that are kind of like that like playing Football Manager, and like doing a little bit and figuring out how to make deals work and how these numbers are all going to fit into place in the lights. And what I would say primarily to that is the reason why I actually ended up watching that hour special that I believe, and I think it was the Anfield. What Brian could tell me the name of. I think it was on Ian Graham basically was interviewing.
Oh, the Ian Graham interview. Yeah. This is Anfield.
This is Anfield. Okay, yeah. This is Anfield did an interview with him, and it was a very it's an interesting perspective. Like, look, not many people would ever really want to hear about this guy. Just wrote a book. First off, like how to win the Premier League. It's tongue in cheek, obviously, but I mean, like how to win the Premier League. He just came out with a book talking about how analytics and how this whole the process of dealing with Rodgers and dealing with like a coach that was an old school minded coach that wanted to be the boss, wanted to make every decision, final decision, all the decisions. Okay. Yeah. And yet, like when we went for Jurgen, that changed. And how, like, the reason why Jurgen was even more open to having an analytics team was because there were sporting directors in Germany, and that's how things were done. Sporting directors spoke to the media the same way that the coaches do. Okay.
But just quickly on the one thing
in England, that wasn't even really present. Go ahead.
But on just on the title, he did make the and I thought that was a really important point. He like how to win the Premier League. He said that was a tongue-in-cheek title. It was the suggestion that you win the Premier League by looking at data was what was being thrown at him. So that the title of the book was tongue-in-cheek. And he said that basically all the data in the world is useless without scouts and people on the ground.
Coach. Yeah.
Well, no, without scouts and people actually looking at players. Yeah. He said all the data.
About the other components.
Yeah. Without the eyes on it, this is the whole, like, I think, to me.
Especially back then when they started doing the numbers too.
Well, he ended that whole eye test versus data debate. Like, this is the guy who was at the top of the tree on that, said there is no debate. It's both. One does not work without the other. Yeah. So what he was saying was like the title of the book was kind of tongue in cheek, that how to win the Premier League. Like,
I do have a question.
No, but it was funny, but quickly just on that,
Yeah,
it
go
was
ahead, go
very
ahead.
funny that he was saying like Klopp didn't care about data. Like he said he understood how important it was, but he didn't want to hear about it. He said Klopp isn't that kind of guy. He doesn't want to sit in a room with you and listen to you go through numbers and go through. He said that doesn't turn him on. Like he said, and that's how he worked. So it's like he understood it and he realized that it worked, but he didn't really want to hear about it. He wanted to sit down with the video guys. Okay, this is the thing. It's like you tell me the data is good, brilliant, great, but it's sort of but the idea as well that he's like he understood it and he came with it. Like that's what you said.
Right.
He was
That's
like
why. That's
going,
why I was bringing up the sporting
yeah,
directors.
yeah.
Because
Why is this why is this an issue?
that was not. We're
It's like,
talking about. We're
yeah.
talking about an era of the Prem where like the boss was the boss. Like as in the manager was the guy that really did all this.
I
It was
I wish he'd gone more into that on Brendan because he said like we sat down with Brendan. Everybody sat down with Brendan. Everybody knew what the crack was.
yeah
Everybody knew how the ship was going to be run. And then Brendan came in and he was like, no, 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 I want final say. And he was very polite in that interview. He was saying FSG were a little bit, and us as staff were a little bit surprised that Brendan, once he got the job, kind of was like, no, 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 I want final say on everything. When he said we thought we'd made it pretty clear in the interview that wasn't how it was going to work.
right.
And
Yes.
Brendan,
Brendan was like
had,
cool.
yeah, Brendan was cool. Give me the fucking job.
Yeah.
And then day
That's
one,
not
he's
how it's
like,
gonna be.
no, 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 I'm in charge.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
what are you doing, Brendan? You knew what the story was. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. He was like, yeah, FSG was a little bit surprised when Brendan changed his tune on how things work.
Yeah.
And the
But at the
Benteke
time,
thing.
who's the other? I'm trying. The other. There weren't that many options out there initially when we did choose Rogers.
Oh,
That
Martinez
yes,
is the other guy. He said it
yes,
basically came down to two people. He
yeah,
said the state that the club was in at the time,
yeah,
the managers that were prepared to join the club,
yeah.
unfortunately for us, was
Were
not. It came down to Brendan and Roberto Martinez, basically.
yep.
Yeah, we weren't very attractive, were
No,
we?
no, exactly the word he used. We weren't that attractive to the
Yeah,
big managers.
yeah.
Now, would it have been better off with Roberto
I
Martinez? I
well,
don't know.
I have a fun question. It's not should we have gone with Martinez or not? But I do have a fun question here, and this is we're gonna land the plane. We got about like 5-10 minutes before we're gonna call it a wrap. My question is this: what was a very interesting insight from the interview was the fact that there were two forwards that we were looking at, that we were not only looking at, but we had interest in. Obviously, we went with Benteke. Rogers was hell bent on getting Benteke for some reason. I guess because he ended up always like doing well against us.
Yeah.
He had every interest of trying to bring him in. Benteke wasn't a complete waste of space for us. But he was very close. Yeah, I know. They're giving me a shout.
He was taking up, waste of space, no, but taking up room, yeah. Definitely taking up some room that someone else could be
exactly.
using. Yeah.
So this is my question to the chat. I'd like to see, you have two options. We obviously had Suarez as our striker, but there was work being put in for one particular striker, and there was, before we got Benteke, there was a certain striker that we were pretty much the backroom staff was that was their guy, and we ended up not going with them. Two strikers. So we're looking at what pairing would you have preferred? What pairing would you prefer? Would you have preferred a Lukaku and Suarez, or a Diego Costa and Suarez pairing. Those are the two choices. Tell me in the chat, which pairing would you have gone for? That was it was really interesting to hear him say that.
Because that's what Graham was saying. Yeah, they were the. He said we were that close to Costa. He said we missed out on him.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? Like, even the interviewer was laughing at that. He was like, "Can you imagine?"
Could you imagine it? Yeah. I've seen a lot of Diegos.
Yeah. No, but no Alexis. It was the choice. That's what Phillips was saying, or not Phillips. Graham was saying that we were. He wanted Lukaku. He wanted Costa. Benteke was Roger's choice for 2-3 years.
Yep.
Couldn't get him off him.
Yep.
So they wanted Costa. They were looking at it. Was they went in too late. They realized something had happened, and he was gone. They could have had Costa. That was the one he was saying. They wanted Lukaku. He wanted Lukaku, but what he was saying was they actually had a deal in place for Diego Costa, basically.
Rogers
that. But
like it looks like it looks like I already see it. I already see where this is going. No love for Lukaku, huh? Interesting.
Lukaku was good at Everton. He was good when
he was good. I mean, Lukaku's a good player. He's a good player. Yeah. He is a good player.
Even when we nearly won the league under Rodgers, mate, Lukaku had a brilliant season at Everton. I think he scored 28 in the league, or 28 in all. 28, I remember that was the figure that he scored at Everton on loan that season. We nearly won the Premier League under Brendan Rodgers. Superb season at Goodison, like that year.
I don't know, Irishman. Do you have an answer for Bernie, or Lee? Do you have an answer for Bernie?
Damian Kamoli had just left. Damian Kamoli we brought in from Spurs and Damian Kamoli is a bit of a joke figure in football because of he was one of the most high profile first kind of football director types, and he'd made a few dodgy signings. But look, whatever it was, but he was the guy who hired Michael Edwards. Michael Edwards was data analysis at Spurs at the time. Kamoli came in and goes, "You need to get this guy Edwards at Spurs. He's the best in the business." He brought him in. Kamoli left after about a year. Didn't last long, and he was the guy that FSG brought in kind of as a super agent type to get deals done. But Edwards was his hire. I think Graham might have been his hire as well, but Graham had been working at Tottenham as well, which was why he wasn't allowed to work with us at the start. He had to wait a while. But he made a brilliant, he did a brilliant thing in that interview, which I'd love to hear more about, when he was saying, and someone mentioned that Brendan literally did sign Benteke because every time we played against him, Benteke destroyed us. He was destroyed us. And he looked at him like that. But Graham did the thing. You'll remember he did an analysis on target men. I said, do target men change their style of play when they go to a big club? He said he looked at two things when Benteke was Brendan's choice. He looked at two things. Number one thing was, do big clubs sign target men? And he said, no. The answer to that was no, they don't. In general, you'll find some whatever, but in general, they don't. And the next thing he looked at was, if a big club who doesn't play with a target man signs a target man, do they change their style of play? No.
Yes,
well.
Yeah.
So
that
was like,
that was the moment where we already had Carroll, and we were trying to figure out moving on from him. Yeah. Yep, Andy Carroll. Yep.
Shocking, absolutely shocking.
What would have it's obvious that everybody's going. I don't think there was one Lukaku. I don't think there's one Lukaku. I think Lukaku would have been a better. I think Lukaku would have been incredible with under Klopp as well, though. I think Klopp would have gotten more out of Lukaku than possibly Diego Costa. But
back then, well,
Yeah.
when Klopp came in, yeah, but back then, I think 2 years of Costa and Suarez might have won us a league.
maybe
Might have won,
Phillips
Costa
says
would have
Suarez.
left. Yeah, he would have left.
Bob
and
says Costa Suarez would have been mad. Kama says Rogers would have ruined him.
And just quickly on Costa, because people
Suarez-
talk about the guy. He was only ever sent off once in the Premier League. Now, he might never have been sent off. I could be wrong on that, but
Mhm.
Costa has this reputation for being a lunatic.
Mhm.
At most, he was ever sent off once in a Premier League game. So he was a crazy guy and all that, but they kind of say, oh, you'd be getting red card every 5 games, that kind of thing.
Here's my
Actually,
question then. What would have been the Costa Suarez nickname? What would have been
God.
what would have been the nickname you would have given them? I either went with Bad Boys or Blues Brothers for me, something like that.
The Brothers Grimm.
The Brothers Grimm. Okay, that was a good one.
Yeah.
YouTube name called them Team Elbows and Teeth.
Yeah.
All right. Sturridge would have been a nice little little transition for him too. Yeah. Yeah, he needed a good manager to control him. Certainly true. Do you have a nickname you would have called him, Brian? If we had Costa?
Me? No, there was
Suarez?
a name that I instantly thought of and I couldn't remember it. What was that WWF team? That was the two guys.
Oh.
They were like they were like Demolition something.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, the ginger guy and the other guy, fat guy. What were they called?
What were they called?
Oh,
I know. The names on the tip of my tongue too.
Legion of Doom. That's it. YouTube. Legion of Doom. That's
okay.
it. Those are the the Legion of Doom. Nice one, YouTube name. That's exactly what I was trying to think of. Yeah. And you'll remind me now, what were the two guys called? Because if you remember the Legion of Doom, obviously you know you're wrestling, so you remember their two. Yeah, there was the ginger guy who was big, and but they were the first. That was the first thing I thought of when I thought of the two of them. And yeah, Pops, he got one red card. Yeah, he got once. That's it in the Premier League. But he had this reputation with this guy to go around kicking people and getting sent off, 5 times a year, and he actually never did. He knew how to.
Maybe
the Roadhog. That's it. The Roadhog. Yeah, he does know his wrestling. Yeah, but he always knew how to write the line.
Maybe they could be the Road Warriors then. They could be the Road Warriors. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe one too.
But Costa could always tread the line. Like Costa was one of those players that was just as likely to get someone else sent off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As he was more interested in winding someone else up to get them to throw a punch at him and get them sent off. That's what he was good at. So yeah, we would have been hated, but you kind of would have taken it, wouldn't you? Costa and Suarez banging in 60 goals in a season.
Yeah. That wouldn't be that bad at all. That would not be that bad at all. I'm trying to think of what else. I think some other. That's a good one. Maybe one day we should do like if we had to come up with like nicknames for striker duos.
Oh, Hawk and Animals. Yeah, Hawk and Animal is correct. Yeah, Hawk and Animal. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what was? Oh, I won't get into it. Yeah, Hawk and Animal. Yeah.
The Killer Bees was one of them. I'm trying to think who else there was. There's some good names. There's some good names out there. Foreign Legion. Remember them? That was the Iron Sheik and I forget the Russian's name. Very funny. Oh man.
Oh,
but anyways, that's the question.
Yeah,
Steiner.
Yeah.
There we go.
we're not going to get into WWF reminiscing, but yeah, I'm a '90s wrestling guy.
I
It's
think,
glorious.
I think the Brainbusters, remember them?
Funny,
Or no, they could be. How about they could be Team Hell No? They could be Team Hell No. That was a team. Anyways, big up, Big Daddy, and
Yeah, that's
Giant
it.
Haystacks. Yes, there you go. A
Yeah.
little British wrestling in there.
Yeah, I
Midnight
remember they were the
Express.
first ones. They were the first ones I
yeah.
saw. Big
Before
Daddy.
WWF came over here, that was when I was a kid in the early 80s. It used to be on Grandstand at midday, like 12 o'clock on a Saturday, wrestling. You'd see Big Daddy.
Wrestling every Saturday. Demolition Squad.
There was a deaf wrestler called Alan Kilby, and the move his opponents used to do to enrage him is to go behind him and smack him on his ears because he was deaf, and he'd go
Brilliant.
and stagger around and tap them and do them in. But it was bloody
Obviously, he wasn't deaf. He definitely wasn't
he was
deaf.
It was
He
just
was pretending. Yeah.
Dave Fit
Ken no
Finley
Nagasaki.
do it to him. He was from the Emerald Isle. Dave Fit Finley and his wife, Princess Paula, who used to be dressed
Probably
as
wasn't even Irish.
Paul.
Probably wasn't even Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just give these people names.
Dave Fit Finley.
Yeah. He was probably from Birmingham or something.
No, yeah. But he wears Jamrock leggings and that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some good stuff.
He wasn't the best bit. He was a double act with his wife. She was like his manager, and she'd come into the ring and start pushing her at, dressed as a squaw. She was very dark skinned. She looked like a Native American. She wasn't like, you know what I mean? She was bloody Indian.
The Dudley Boys. Demolition Squad. I remember them too. Brothers of Destruction. Definitely. A lot of good names out there for them.
Oh, the Can-Am. Who remembers the Can-Am Connection? If you remember the Can-Am Connection, you're old school.
Yeah, I don't remember Can-Am Connection.
The Can-Am
I
Connection.
thought the Legion of Doom was probably the name I would have went with, Legion of Doom, but they were crazy.
Yeah, the Can-Am Connection, like Canadian American, because you know that it was all like Canadian wrestling, but like that was the Hart Foundation.
British Bulldog, yes. Pops, yes. The British Bulldog.
Davy Boy Jones.
Video about it. I watched the video.
Oh, don't go down
don't go down that. Don't even go down that road. Yeah, let's not go down that road. Let's not go down that road.
Dark
let's take the wheel. Let's take the wheel. Go left.
Yeah.
The ex-wrestler rabbit hole ain't when you want to go down.
Big up to everyone. Big up, everyone. Thanks, JK, for joining us earlier. Definitely big up to all of you guys for sticking with us, even if we got into a couple of the Hart Foundations and the British Bulldogs. You know,
do you remember Jimmy Hart with the megaphone? The mouth of the South. Do you remember the mouth of the South? Jimmy Hart with the megaphone. He was the mouth of the South.
Yeah.
With the megaphone, he was shouting it out. Yeah, he was.
He was the manager for the Nasty Boys. That's who they could be. They could be the Nasty Boys.
And he had like the. Yeah, and Pops, like I said, Pops, open invitation, man. Don't just hang out in the chat. Anytime you want, like, open invitation, you come on the show, man. We'd love to have you on. We would love to have you on, Pops. Seriously.
Always an open invitation. For
you got great knowledge, man. Great knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. He's got keys. He's got keys to the house. He can come. He can walk right in. So,
exactly.
Big up to everyone that joined us today. Thank you for all your, your contributions to the chat, to the discourse of what we had to say today, or the topics that we're bringing up. Big up to, again, like I said, JK for joining us earlier, Ric Flair. Woo! There you go, Ric Flair.
Silver hair made me like the way he had silver hair. Ric Flair, he was like a big muscly guy, but his hair was like a shiny silver. He looked like, I always used to say he looked like Jimmy Savile on steroids.
Jesus, nobody wants to see that. Lee, come on.
I
mean, he was bad enough when he wasn't on drugs.
I come out with this in 1990 when I was about 16, long before we knew Jimmy Savile was a bad man. Like, we just thought he was a freaky looking guy.
I mean,
freaky looking guy with shit hair in 1990, mate. There was no one knew. So that's where that was coming from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you look at it now, Roddy Piper had a great,
no doubt. Rest in peace, Roddy Piper. Definitely.
great career.
Great career. Great. He was a good actor too. Very. Yeah. Definitely a good actor.
Yeah, he's in there. They Live, isn't he, Roddy Piper? They Live, the Alien film.
Yep.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah.
One definitely a cult classic for me, for sure.
What list is that, Bernie?
But we're gonna end this like the Mega Powers. How about that? We're gonna end this like the Mega Powers. Or Too Cool. We'll end it like Too Cool. They were a tag team group, right? Oh yeah. Lee, do you have anything you want to say to people before we let them go on to their destinations?
No, just thanks everyone. Thanks for taking part. See you again.
Okay. Short and sweet. Definitely. Irishman, do you have anything you want to say to the people before we let them go?
No, I just want to say thanks to all the people who have been like, they're going to be looking back and saying, yeah, I was on that channel before they had 10 million subscribers. I was there back in the day. So yeah, big up to all those people. Yep.
Big up, because you guys will be that. You guys are the foundation. You are definitely you are the Rock in Rock and Sacco. How about that? All right, that was a tag team. Remember Sacco, Rock and Sacco? Don't remember them? That was he had the sock puppet. It was the Rock and the one that had the sock puppet. You remember that? No takers on that one.
No, I'm not.
You remember that? He was he was the one that had the sock. He would like break out the sock and then he would like put the sock in people's mouths and stuff or something like that. Oh yeah.
Vince McMahon is a weirdo.
Mankind.
Yeah, Mankind.
Was it Mankind?
Mankind is crazy. I remember that like they got real crazy.
No, it was Mickey.
I stopped watching it.
Mickey Foley. Yeah.
Mick
Foley. Nick Foley. Yeah. It was Nick Foley. Yeah. He's had the sock and he had one time he had like it was The Rock and Nick Foley did a tag team together and they called himself The Rock and Sock. The Rock and Sock. I don't know. Anyways.
That bloke was huge. He was about 6'9" or something ridiculous. The Undertaker.
Oh yeah. They were huge. When The Undertaker and Kane were together, they were huge.
Like everyone talks about that. Sorry, I remember The Undertaker. He was right at the end of when I was watching. He was the biggest thing ever. Mm-hmm. He was cool. That shit they did with him, it was cool. But I've never seen Kane, so that shows you exactly where I stopped watching. Where you
left off. Yeah, Kane was his brother.
Exactly. Yeah,
that was his brother.
Oh, he was his. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I did not know. Now a lot of that Kane. Now that right, okay.
Yeah,
but some of the Undertaker stuff.
Really, when it
we're all kids at one time in our lives, you know.
But it used to watch it a bit like.
Yeah.
Stop it, Coco.
The Paul Bearer, yeah.
Paul Bearer. Yeah, the guy that came out. Yes, Jesus.
With the Undertaker, yeah.
WWF is amazing, man. It really is. When you look back, it really is so crazy. I know it's deep and dark, but yeah. Anyway, I won't keep talking about it.
Yeah. I don't think the Undertaker was the rock bottom guy. That's the rock bottom was the Rock. I think he brought the rock bottom. I think, right? No, that's the People's Elbow. I'm trying to think of the Undertaker did the he did the Tombstone. I think
Tombstone. Yeah, Tombstone was his. Yeah.
All right, my one of my favorites was Jimmy the I think it was Jimmy the Snake.
Oh, Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
With the DDT.
Yeah, the DDT. Yeah.
I was
and he broke the freaking python. I don't like snakes, man.
Yeah, it was this fella called Sir somebody or Lord somebody, and he'd come on and wind up the American fans by having it like a cup of tea, and he'd come on and go,
I'm very English. I'm terribly English.
Very English. Yeah,
that's terribly English.
Lord
Hunter Helmsley. Was that Hunter Helmsley?
I don't think it was Hunter Helmsley. I know what
I
I
know the guy you mean. I know. The
Yeah,
guy
I know who
mean.
you mean. Hunter Helmsley. That's because Hunter Helmsley is Triple H.
Mr. Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they used to boo their heads off when he'd do his British thing. I don't even think he
He'd
was
stick his
British.
finger out. He put his pinky. Of course, he wasn't English.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like this is bloody
God, he was-
fucking
yeah.
WWE. Whatever they call you, you're almost
He's
certainly
probably from,
not.
he's probably
that
from
country.
Canada. He's probably
Yeah.
from Canada,
Yeah.
and they're like, close
Yeah.
enough, close enough.
Like you said, there was a girl in England with like slightly dark skin, so she's a Native American Indian. Of course, she.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right. Yeah,
Yes, it's like this. She put
yeah.
a
Like-
costume on her, like yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, man, but thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. Fun little reminisce at the end there. At least I had fun with it. I had fun with the fact that there was no Lukaku love in the house. Everybody went with Costa. Wow.
I'm telling you, man, memories are short, aren't they? Because we all know how much
Diego
everybody
Costa
hated
was
him.
one of the most hated. He was one of the most hated players. He made our list, I think. Didn't he make our? I'm pretty sure he made our list.
yeah, I did not like Diego Costa for his on pitch behavior. Like he was a twat, wasn't he? Like
Oh God, I hated that guy. He was just an absolute. He could get like you weren't even playing against him. You see him walk on the pitch, and you knew you just like, oh, what a heel. But anyway,
I thought he was brilliant.
But yeah, but he's brilliant for whatever team he's playing for. He was absolutely brilliant for.
I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah,
I loved him. I loved it.
Always look reminiscent of like somebody that just thawed out of a huge block of ice with a woolly mammoth. You know what I mean? He had that look to me, Diego Costa.
Yeah, we'll have to. I'll have to take a
woolly mammoth.
Recently defrosted.
Go ahead.
Yeah, recently defrosted. He has the look of the recently defrosted. Yeah.
What was
No,
that,
and Pops, you're right, man.
California.
No, Pops is
Yeah.
Everyone in the school in California and that.
No, yeah, Pops is definitely right. If Diego had played for us, we would all love him. But considering he doesn't play for us, it's the same. It's like it's like same with Bruno or those guys. If they played for us, we probably all love them.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't, guy.
That's how football works.
That's how football works.
And YouTube name.
It's the beauty of football.
The others don't.
And just YouTube name. Yeah, we do. No, YouTube name, that means a lot, man. Because that's exactly what we're trying to do. So that means a lot. That's great. Thanks very much.
No. We appreciate all the love and all the compliments and all the support you guys show. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be we're getting very, very close to bringing the underrated show, I believe, right? Underrated.
Well, do we want to go overrated? Do you want to go overrated first?
Overrated.
Yeah, we're going to overrated.
We have two shows coming up, underrated and overrated. But we are very close to bringing that show. That's going to be on Wednesday. Tomorrow we're going to do a show as well. That's going to be a fun one too. Please do join us tomorrow. But as always, we want to wish you the best of health, mentally and physically. And as always, we would like to say, up the Reds, people, up the Reds. See you guys tomorrow.
Take it easy.